I don't know about you, but I absolutely hate generalizations. I'm talking about things like when you hear people say men are this, women are this, Republicans are this, Democrats are this, boomers are this, Gen Z is this. I get so annoyed with hearing things like this. If you're like me, then I'm sure you do too. So in today's video, what I want to go ahead and do is talk about generalizations, why these are not helpful, and if anything else, it kind of impedes your life quality too. If you're new here, my name is Mike, and if not, welcome back to my channel. So generalizations, the easy way to kind of label this is that I think it's easier to put a generalization out there than it is to be honest. This also falls in vein with it's easier just to kind of throw a label on something than it is to sit across from somebody and have an in-depth conversation about what the topic may be. It doesn't matter if it's with people, with ideologies, with cultures, with food. There is something we can all learn from the other side of things that we believe in. But what happens is sometimes we just let our ego and our pride get in the way. And because we once thought something, we no longer want to change our mind. It's like, nope, I think this. And for the rest of the time, this is what I believe. And I can't change it because if you change, to some extent, that means you're wrong, right? And people don't like sitting there saying that. I don't like sitting there saying that. So why do we keep doing it? Why do we keep generalizing things knowing that if it happened to us, it wouldn't feel good, but we do it anyway? Once again, it comes down to it being easy. It's hard to sit there and be nuanced and want to accept that the most opposite view that you hold can still hold some truth. See, a lot of times I think your camp might be here and my camp might be here. And we're both very strong in our convictions. And maybe both of us have a point. And the reality and the truth is actually here. But I'm so stubborn and I want to move. You're so stubborn, we don't want to move. And so that's it. Nothing ever changes. Nothing improves. The conversation doesn't move forward and no one learns anything. So what's the point? You know, a prime example of this is to look at the political climate of the United States or anywhere else, right? You have Republicans and Democrats that oftentimes are on both sides. And every now and then you see one come in the middle, but it's kind of a rare occurrence. It's like seeing a leopard out there when you go into Target or something. Like, yeah, you could see one, but what's the chances? You know what I mean? Not having the ability to discern generalizations from actual thoughts and opinions that have been formed is a dangerous category to be able to get into. I don't think this happens just like in one moment. I think that over time, what happens is you start with one generalization and then you move on to others. And before you know, that's your entire personality. For example, let's say that you were in a relationship. You're a man and you were dating a woman and she hurt you. She broke your heart, did something. And then you date another person and they do that to you too. Now you turn around, you say, all women are this, all women are unfaithful, all women don't care. They're not going to be there for you and such too. It's easy to say because you're feeling something in the moment, but it's dangerously naive in the long run. Because when you start to say this to yourself, you may come up to a person that is absolutely fantastic and perfect for you in every single way. But because you have these generalizations and these thoughts, your brain can be closed off to even seeing the possibilities from there. And this is just an example of a relationship. You can start with a relationship and then get to the point where now you think this about cultures, other people, about regions or whatever it may be. And before you know it, you're one of those people that's very quick to judgment, quick to slapping a label on something, and you never really want to participate in the conversation that truthfully gets you to the answer. I know that it's easy to sit there and say, don't sit there and make a snap judgment. Don't judge a book by its cover and all these like cliche, tacky type of things. But truthfully, it is something that not only helps you and the people around you, it course corrects a lot of the problems you might have had before. One of the common things I think I see is like identity crisis, right? It's like we don't know who we are. We don't know what we like. It's hard to get back in touch with who we are at core as people. The problem is generalizations are related to that. If you read a headline, if you see a TikTok, if you just hear someone say something one time and that generalization or that sentence or phrase now sticks in your head, on the back end, what it does is it takes away your ability to be an individual and to think for yourself and to know what you actually truthfully believe. Sometimes we believe something for so long, we don't even think to question it. And if we do, then you realize maybe I believe these 10 things and they believe these 10 things, but there's 2 on their side that I actually do believe. And I actually would adopt those and such too. And like it opens up your worldview a little bit more. I think a lot of times from bad experiences or from things that are parroted from us, we can hear these things that have happened. And now all of a sudden, this is our narrative moving forward. But the problem is you're closing off the idea for other possibilities. Think of it like putting a curtain up or something too. You're over here, there's a curtain up, and there's some type of truth that's behind here. If you stick within your truths, your generalizations, your thoughts, your entire life, and you never question, you never look at what the other side has to offer, you're essentially leaving things over here that are part of your identity, that you do resonate with, that you do care about. So if you're constantly in this position where you're spinning your wheels and you're questioning who you are, what you like, where you want to go in your life, what your passions are, all these things, there's a pretty good chance that some of your generalizations and things you put up there, essentially that curtain, are blocking you from the things that really are inherently you. It may not be everything. It may not be the bulk of who you are, but there are small things that when you're struggling to find out who you are and your places and everything else in this world, if you're missing these small components, they add up over time. And this curtain is blocking you from things that you can achieve, believe, and attain in your life. When I think back to generalizations, I mentioned this on a few different videos, but I moved around a lot when I was a kid. My father was in the military, so every 2 years or so, we'd pick up and move. So people generalized things about me all the time because every place I moved was drastically different than the last. You can be the coolest person in one school and be a complete dweeb in another school. It changes. Or in a society, and the same thing in another society. It all changes. And a more recent example I can give about me, something that I've heard a lot, like I laugh at it now, but I've heard it over the last years and such, especially after I was in college and I got out of college too. I got tattoos. I like to work out. I take care of my hygiene. I try to put a decent appearance out there. I don't do this for other people. I do it for me because it makes me feel good. It increases my confidence and it just helps me interact with the world and feel better about myself doing it. I don't do it for any other reason like that at all. But consistently, I've heard this from women and I've heard this from other guys too, where they tell me when they first met me, they thought I was a player. They thought I was just going after women and I was just this type A type of guy and no depth and all these things. But what people realize is when they sit and talk with me, I'm more geared towards depth, conversation. I like to know who you are as a person. I like to know what your background is, where you want to go, what your goals are and things. I don't care about any of this superficial stuff that makes me quote unquote seem like a player and such. I do it for a different reason. But when you see me, know me, that's a generalization I get a lot. And I like I said, I think it's funny now and I laugh at it. But when I first heard it, I was like, what? That's what I come off as? What do you mean? So it happens to me. And I'm sure that if you're watching this, you can pinpoint moments in your life where it's happened to you too. And I bet it didn't feel good. So it's another reason to kind of think and be able to stop before you throw generalizations out there, because being on the receiving end of it isn't fun either. But with that being said, I also want to say that, look, I'm not perfect and I'm sure you aren't either. And no one else really is out there. It's not like we're immune from generalizing things ourselves, right? I still do it sometimes, but the difference is that's not the bulk of what I do. It's the exception, right? Every now and then I'll throw a generalization out there and I think, actually that I probably need to walk that back or think a little bit more about that before I form this opinion. It happens, right? So don't beat yourself up about it if you still do this. It takes time and it's a constant practice throughout your entire life to be conscious of it, not to just be like, all right, good to go. I did it a few times, we're good. One of the generalizations I can give that I used to believe in and such was, so I used to live in Missouri, Illinois area. I was living in the Midwest of the United States. Living out there in the Midwest is completely different. Slower pace of life and a lot more country people and things too. Every time I was in a town or an area where I saw a lot of people that had camouflage, there was a lot of country music playing, or if I was really out in the sticks away from a general population or city or something like that, I had this generalization to think that most people were going to be prejudiced towards me. They were going to have these preconceived notions and they were going to treat me differently because of my skin, the way I looked, and the way I just acted in life. What I found was the complete opposite. I'm not saying I didn't have issues seldomly or something too, but for an overall general theme, I would tell you that I've never experienced more hospitality, more kindness, more people inviting me into their home as strangers, people doing things like taking me out to go fishing, little hikes and stuff like that. Just little things that I didn't even experience that level of comfort in bigger cities and other areas. Places with a lot more diversity and such, I've actually experienced more prejudice and issues than I have in any type of country or rural area. And like I said before, I know that I've had small incidences and stuff like that, but few and far between, and it wasn't the general narrative. So I went from having a generalization about a certain region, certain types of people, to realizing, you know what, this is not that at all. Where did I even get this thought from? It's kind of ridiculous to slap this big label on a group of people that just live a country lifestyle and think that's true. And this isn't the only time. There's so many times in my life where I've got to this point where I've had to walk back and think, I don't know why I ever thought this in the beginning, and it's kind of silly, but you can always change moving forward. What I challenge you to do is to look at your worldview and look at any type of generalizations you may currently have right now that you think may not be true. You don't have to figure it all out today, but I challenge you to write down one of those things or keep it top of mind. And within the next few days, do one thing to maybe sit down and have a conversation with someone that believes something different than you. Maybe look up something online, watch a video, listen to a podcast. Do something that is on the other side of whatever it is you believe. And I challenge you to sit there and see if you can find 1 to 2 things that you didn't know before that maybe you actually agree with. This is going to be the first step that you can take towards getting to the point of wiping these generalizations off your head, forming stronger opinions about what you think, and not only that, getting closer to who you are as a person, what you believe, and creating your true worldview, not the one that's been prescribed and given to you instead. So I hope this helped. And if it did, please go ahead and drop me a like. Feel free to comment down below if you've ever experienced any type of generalization or if you put this out to other people too. I love to keep the conversation going. I'm going to see you all in the next one, and take care for now. Peace.